Hey everyone, this is Zach, the broker for Zach Taylor Real Estate. Today I want to cover buyer representation agreement. That way you know what to fill out whenever you want to start working with a client that is looking to purchase a home. So in Tennessee, the reason I want to bring up this form is because this is a helpful guide right here. This is common myths and misconceptions about agency in Tennessee. So an agency relationship cannot be implied, created accidentally, or created by a licensee's action statements or behavior. So if this was before 1996, that would hold true. But currently, you need a bilateral written agency agreement, such as a buyer representation agreement. This forms the relationship that says, hey, you are my client. I'm your agent. I help you find a home. No other agent is going to help you out. I'm going to be the one to do it. Now, another common myth is just a confirmation of agency status alone does not make them your client. You need the buyer representation agreement. And then furthermore, if you go on and declare that you represent a buyer and you've not negotiated and signed this buyer agency agreement, then this licensee is not a buyer's agent. You are a facilitator by default in the state of Tennessee. So unless you have a buyer rep, you are a facilitator. This establishes that you are their agent. And you don't want to declare, hey, I'm their agent if you don't have a form in place, because that could be viewed as misrepresentation. So go ahead and read this over. Pause the video if you need to keep reading on. But let's jump over to how to fill out this form. So we already have it populate where brokerage firm here, address of the firm, buyer, you could put, let's say Susan Smith. That's my favorite thing to use. And then if they have a husband or another person that's interested in looking as well, put everybody on here. Anybody that you want to be a client, spouse, significant other, put them on here. You don't want to run into where maybe Susan Smith signs this and then Jack Smith goes off and signs with a different agent. Then that could create a problem down the road. So go ahead and have everybody sign this that is looking for a home. Now you would put, when are we entering into this agreement? We need to label that. So today is the 12th, October 22. So you put the client again, Susan Smith and Jack Smith, firm, broker. You can put Zach Taylor Real Estate. Now, how long is this term good for? How long am I going to be their real estate agent? So that's what this blank is right here. Now, I've seen a lot of different terms. When the market was super hot, you might put 30 days, 60 days, because they're already looking for homes and they're going to pick something really quick. Maybe as this market transitions, you might need more time. Maybe you need 3 months, 6 months, a year. So every term in here is fully negotiable. So go ahead and determine what you want to negotiate and how long you want to represent them. So let's say, for example, 6 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 12th. Type of property sought by client. So this is just getting everybody on the same page. You as the real estate agent and Susan and Jack as the client, what are they looking for? So that's what you would put here. Now, whatever you do put here, it does not have to only be this type of home. Again, this is just to get everybody on the same page. So if you say 300,000 to 350,000, but then Susan and Jack want to look at a home that's 400,000, that's okay. Again, we're just getting on the same page with right here, this section. Now, as I am going through this with a client, I think it's really important to go through this with them instead of just sending it to them and say, please review and sign if it's acceptable. I want to go ahead and kind of set the expectation and know what they're signing and help them out with different sections. So I'm not going to read this line by line, but I will cover some different highlights of maybe things I might mention to Jack and Susan as we're going through this. So client duties. What do Jack and Susan agree to do for me? Well, purchase property exclusively through the broker, to furnish broker on a timely basis anything personal or financial information to ensure that they can buy the house, that they are not under an exclusive buy agreement with a different company or agent, that even if they utilize the service of another real estate broker or deal directly with the seller's agent or the seller, that they still might owe a commission to us. To authorize broker to negotiate a fee paid by the seller and or seller's agent. And then if the fee is not offered or paid, here's where it comes up that Jack or Susan might have to pay you as the real estate agent. So that's what would go here. So again, commission is fully negotiable. It could be 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%. Doesn't matter what it is. Whatever you want to negotiate with them, or it could even be a flat fee, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, whatever you want. So I'm going to come back to this in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and just put 3, but it is fully negotiable. This is saying if there's nothing offered from the sellers as the buyer's agent, that Jack and Susan would then have to pay the purchase price plus an additional 3% of the purchase price as commission. Now, let me go ahead. I'm going to skip this real quick. This is saying if they agree to lease a property instead of buy, here's how much you would make if they want to lease a property instead. Now, this is the biggest point, the biggest sticking point in this form. So in the event that the amount of any cooperating compensation paid by the seller or seller's broker is less than the amount listed above, I lost my place, listed above, buyer agrees to pay broker the difference at closing or on the date of possession in the case of a lease. So that means, for example, if we are working with a buyer and they find a home, it's listed on the MLS, they write a contract on it, and the MLS is only offering 2% commission, that means you do reserve the right to charge them that 1% difference at closing. Or if it's 2.5% listed on the MLS, then you could charge them 0.5% difference. Now, every real estate agent runs their business differently. Me personally, I do not charge clients the difference. So if it's only 2% listed, if it's only 1%, I just roll with that because I'm going to give them the same level of service, knock it out of the park, create a raving fan, and then they're going to refer me future business down the road. Or if they ever need to sell that house down the road, they're going to know who to go to. That's why you will find sometimes agents leave this blank because they kind of operate the same way. So they leave this blank. Now, the only risk of leaving this blank is that if the MLS offers you $1, you would make $1 as a buyer's agent. If your clients want to offer on a for sale by owner and they refuse to pay any sort of commission at all, you're out. There's nothing. You're not going to make anything. So that's why sometimes people put something here so that way they ensure I'll get some sort of compensation. Now, if there is a difference, let's say the MLS offers 2% commission and you have 3% here. If you are working with a VA buyer, meaning that they need a VA loan to close on the house, this section comes into play. In the event the buyer broker compensation herein is considered a non-allowable pursuant to VA guidelines and thus cannot be paid by the buyer, this obligation is waived. So if the MLS and the seller is offering 2% commission, you have 3% here, there's a 1% difference you could charge your client. Well, VA guidelines, if they say no, you can't charge a difference to the client, then you would only make that 2%. So that's why this section is the most important in this form. And that's why a lot of real estate agents go different ways with this and how to handle it. But go ahead and read this, read every single line. That's always my first recommendation with any sort of TAR form, contract. Always read it fully, word for word. Ask your broker any questions you have before you have anybody sign this. You need to know what you're having somebody sign off on, and you need to know what legal obligation you have to them, because this is a legally binding document. And of course, we want to stay out of trouble. We don't want any legal issues. So understand what you are filling out and what you're having people sign. Now let's go ahead and go through here. Carryover clause. So this is another good protection for the real estate agent. Should the buyer contract to buy or exchange or contract to lease a property within blank days after the expiration of this agreement, for anyone acting on who has been introduced to the buyer directly or indirectly during the term hereof as extended, the buyer agrees to pay the compensation. So this further protects a real estate agent. You can put 90 days here, 180 days. Again, it's fully negotiable. Here's different definitions that you can read. Here's duties owed to all parties to a transaction. So this is to everybody. As a real estate licensee, what do you have to do for everybody? Now, here is duties owed to the client. So again, when I'm going through this form with Susan and Jack, I go ahead and read these to them so they know what I have to do for them. So obey all lawful instructions, be loyal to the interests of the client, and then schedule all showings on their behalf, receive all offers and counteroffers, forward it to them, answer any questions they have, and advise the clients as to whatever forms, procedures, and steps. So these are different things you have to do for them. Let's keep going. This is where you say you are the designated agent. So we allow our agents to go ahead and appoint themselves. So you could put your name here. This means you are the one and only agent for them. Nobody else in the office represents them. You are their one and only agent. So that's why you put yourself there. If there's anything confidential that they allow you to share from the buyers, that would go here. Limitations and expert assistance. So this is important as well to go ahead and share with the client. But basically it's saying, especially right here, hey, if it's something regarding legal questions, tax questions, square footage questions, inspections, consult those type of professionals, and that we are not professionals in those type of things. So go ahead and consult the right professional. We are just the real estate agent. So that's kind of what this section covers. Different provisions. And then we allow our agents to sign it because it says broker or licensee authorized by the broker. And then the clients would sign it. Now, the only thing I don't like with this form, and I go ahead and add this to special stipulations, but there really isn't a clear way for a buyer to cancel this contract. even if they say, hey, I want to fire you, the brokerage still has to agree to release them from this form, which I don't like. I feel like there should be some sort of cancellation, or hey, if the client isn't happy with your services, they can fire you, and maybe even fire you in exchange for a cancellation fee. So that's where I usually put in here. If the buyer is unhappy at any time, they can go ahead and terminate this for free anytime. Because if I'm not doing my job, I don't want to hold them to this. I just want to work with people that want to work with me and that I do a good job for. So that's how you fill out this buyer representation agreement. This is how you go ahead and get everybody on the same page. You officially have clients, you work together and help them find a home. If you have any questions, go ahead and schedule a time to speak with me below. And until next time, I'll see you guys.